Namaskar, my name is Gaurav Rastogi, and welcome to this lecture on building your focus and finish system, building lifetime habits for 5 times productivity. This is a system that I have built over my decades of practice as a professional, as a yogi, and as a teacher of meditation. About nearly a decade ago, I started running these long workshops for what's called deep work, helping professionals integrate meditation into their everyday work. And then over time, I've delivered this workshop many times in corporate settings, in educational settings, as well as in retreats. And through my own practice, through my own experimentation, investigation, and through this process of teaching, I've arrived at this formulation of 10 habits that'll help you build your lifetime habits for 5 times productivity. The number 5 time comes from a very long study that was conducted of professionals in peak state that experienced a state of flow, and in that state, they experienced a 5 times increase in productivity. And what I'm going to talk to you about is how to do that for your own self and for your own life. Now, I'm going to begin with the opening prayers as we always do, and then we'll get into a meditative stage. Usually, when I run this as a retreat, it's 3 hours at the least, and then of course it can run into 3 to 4 days on the outside. And so you have ample time for practice, which we are not going to have in this session because we're just recording a shorter version of it. But if you like, I'd be happy to set up another meeting or meet you as a smaller group if you like to talk you through a whole guided sitting, which I've done a lot of those in the last year. With that said, the relevant parts of my background for this course, of course, I'm not unfamiliar to anyone today, but is that I'm a professional and a yogi, and as a teacher of meditation, I have about, again, 10 years ago, investigated ways to integrate meditation into the everyday life, into the interstitial spaces of people's daily lives. And so used traditional techniques in the authentic manner, but put them into the context of everyday lives. So things like sitting in a commuter train, coming back from work, out for a coffee break, out for another coffee break, uh, and um, and when preparing for deep work. So I created all those meditations. Then I ran the deep work workshops and then retreats. And then last year, I formulated the whole thing into a package. And that's what I've been teaching as a focus and finish system for life. So come along. Let's begin with the opening prayer. So please sit comfortably, sitting in any comfortable posture, sitting with the back straight, the back, neck, and head in a straight line. Now, if you're sitting on a chair, put your full foot contact, have a full foot contact with the floor below, allowing the balls and the heels of the feet to rest gently on the floor, allowing the calf muscles to relax, allowing your entire lower body to relax. Sitting upright with the back straight, the back, neck, and head in a straight line. Now close your eyes gently and relax the expression on the face. Begin to draw your attention inwards. Breathing in gently, letting the eyes sink a little into their sockets, letting the tongue become heavy and fall into the mouth, letting the tongue relax, and that relaxation in the tongue travels back to the back of the throat and down into the chest. Relax your shoulders, relax your belly. Now breathe in and out of the belly As you inhale, let the belly expand. As you exhale, simply let go. The back is straight but not stiff. Breathing into the belly, let the belly expand. And as you exhale, let go. Let go of your thoughts. Let go of your preoccupations. Breathing into the belly, let the belly expand. As you exhale, let go and feel a sense of relief sweep through the body. Breathing into the belly and breathing out, letting that relaxation sweep progressively through the entire body. Bring your palms together in Namaskar Mudra, pressing the palms together gently, touching the fingers together gently, gently touching the back of the thumbs into the chest. Bring your attention to the hollow space between the palms. Pay attention now to the vibrations between your palms, observing the energy, observing any pulsation, any sensation. We're going to chant Om 3 times and then the opening prayer, Sahana Bhavatu. Exhale completely, take a deep breath. Inhale. Continue to pay attention to the vibrations. Inhale. Inhale. Inhale and chant. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take your arms behind your back, grab your right wrist with your left hand and breathing in, stretch. Breathing out, bend forward in a deep sense of surrender. Come back up, breathing in, release your hands, rub your palms together to generate some heat. Gently cup your eyeballs to transfer that heat. Blink your eyes open and keep your eyes now closed again. You can place your palms in your lap and sit quietly. Sit quietly, the eyes are still closed. Feel that vibration in your heart center. A gentle, tingling sensation filled with peace. Now emanates from your heart center. Sit comfortably and observe. Eyes are still closed. Observe your mind space. Thoughts will come and go. Detach yourself from the coming and going of thoughts. Detach yourself from the contents of the thoughts. Simply observing. Now, if a well-shaped thought presents itself, observe the nature, the content of the thoughts from the outside. Name the thought and then let it go, letting it float away like a lighted diya in the river, floating away. Now another thought might present itself, and that too must be observed, named, and released. Whenever a well-developed thought presents itself, observe it, name it, but don't engage with it. Just let it go. Another thought will come by, surely. One more thought. Now we're going to return into this active session. Observe once more your mind space, illuminated by the singular light of your consciousness. Everything is illuminated at once. No shadows, no hidden parts, pure light of consciousness. Now let's rub the palms together again. Gently cup the eyeballs to transfer that heat. Massage the face and the neck, and then blinking, open your eyes and pull your palms back like an open book. I'm going to now talk you through these 10 principles, one at a time. You may take notes. Now, these are things that might be attitudes or ways of seeing things or ways of organizing your day, your month, your life. And I'm going to go through them sequentially. Many of these are familiar ideas. I'm going to give you my perspective on it and some helpful tips, hopefully, that you can put to use. We're going to begin with the idea of a yantra. Now, if you're from a Hindu family, then you may have seen these geometrical patterns with things with mantras and numbers written on them. A yantra, is a machine, a magic machine to be precise. It helps you harness the energies of the universe and put them to work, requesting those divine energies to flow in a direction at your request. It has a definite geometry, it has a definite language and language style, and you might see a few numbers on these as well. I'm going to introduce you to another yantra, a yantra to manage and manifest your future. A time machine, a machine that creates the future by harnessing your time in the present. And that yantra I'm going to tell you, and this is the word I've coined, is a Kala Yantra. Kala, of course, means time, and a Yantra is a machine. This is a time machine, a Kala Yantra, more frequently known as a calendar. A calendar is a Kala Yantra, a magic machine which creates the future. How you spend your time today creates what you have in the future. And so, by choosing which tasks you work on, you can reduce your meeting overload and focus on what truly matters. You can therefore become a master of your calendar through attention and repetition. And that's what we're going to talk about. Usually, when you look at someone's calendar, it might be one of these patterns. Now, if you're at home, your calendar is likely highly chaotic. You wake up at a time when you wake up and you do things as they present themselves to you. If you're a working professional and you have autonomy of how you spend your time, you likely have the same issue. One of my friends at a retreat, one of my retreat friends had said that he comes in every morning and then he says, he looks around here and there and he says, all right, what problem might I solve today? And then whatever problem presented itself, he would solve that problem. And at the end of the day, there's been a lot of activity, a lot of engagement. And at the end of the day, you feel like you've done something. But when weeks go by, months go by, and years go by, those days don't add up. They don't count for anything because you haven't really created your future. Your days remain the same, filled with chaos, filled with troubleshooting, filled with activity, but frankly, no progress. And that's the problem if we don't think of time and our calendar as a magic machine. Some people, for example, like to be busy. They happen to have the all meetings, no work type of calendar. They're extremely busy, but they're not productive at all. They go headlong into a meeting and then they go headlong into another meeting and so on ad infinitum. What happens, of course, is you haven't had time to reflect, to digest, to focus, to sharpen your saw. And therefore, you don't get better, your work doesn't get better, time just flies. The next block, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of slides later, is the deep work where people block times, and they anything that does not require an agenda, they don't do. And that's what I'm going to recommend to you. There are people, especially if you have autonomy of your time, you might have the phantom menace kind of meeting calendar where you have recurring meetings, things that you've committed to, you don't know where they are and when they are happening, and things are overlapping almost simultaneously, happening all at once. And then there are people that have meetings sometime in the day and then the day passes and nothing gets done. And of course, there are people that do things last minute. And so there's a lot of frenetic last minute scrambling. But again, the rest of the day is an unscheduled, unstructured mess. And that's the problem. Time, if you're a management type, time, how you spend your time, has an outsized influence on your performance, your engagement, and culture. What you focus on, where you spend your time, is important. So, as you now look at your calendar, what I invite you to do is to see your calendar. How much of your calendar is structured or unplanned? If it's over structured, you have a problem. If it's completely unstructured, you have a problem. Goldilocks like, it has to be just right, just enough structure in your control. And then the rest may be unstructured so you can respond to the things that they happen. The other is drumbeat versus flow, which is you have meeting after meeting after meeting, or when you're in the mood for something, that's the thing that you do and you're flowing. And when we come to the concept of flow a few minutes later, I'll talk to you more about this. Some people, especially management type, spend time problem solving with teams rather than attending random meeting, right? And random meetings can get grating, and frankly, you don't get a sense of satisfaction. You need to do review meetings, but you also need to get deep dives. So you have to have a good mix. And then finally, ambassador versus quarterback. I'm going to skip that part. There's a quote that I really like. I'm going to go find that because it truly represents what we what I wanted to share. So let me see 1 second. So the quote I want to show you is this. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's from by a writer called Annie Dillard, and it's an amazing quote because it truly represents to me um, the active creative life. I'm going to pause for a few seconds, let you read through it. Now let me read it for you. How we spend our days is how we spend our lives. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. What we do with this hour and that one is what we are doing. A schedule defends from chaos and whim. It is a net for catching days. It is a scaffolding on which a worker can stand and labor with both hands at sections of time. A schedule is a mock-up of reason and order, willed, faked, and so brought into being. It is a peace and a haven set into the wreck of time. It is a lifeboat on which you find yourself decades later, still living. Each day is the same, so you remember the series afterward as a blurred and powerful pattern. This is by Annie Dillard. Your routine, your routine allows you to focus. It allows you to direct your energies just the way a lens might focus the sun rays and even melt a rock. And then that energy is deployed at a singular aim, the aim of your life, the purpose for your being. All of that emanates from how you spend your days. And we recognize that this is an artificiality. We recognize this is what she says is a mock-up of reason and order. It is willed. It is not casual. It is not autonomous or organic. It is willed and faked and so brought into being. But it is a peace and a haven set into the wreck of time. Time, of course, is filled with chaos. All manner of things are happening in the world at all time. And yet, within all that chaos, your routine, your rhythm allows you to create a peace, a haven which allows you to focus. A lifeboat on which you see yourself still living. And so, harnessing our calendar is an integral, essential, primary step toward taking care of our life, building a habit system. At this point, I usually ask my retreat audience to investigate their own calendars and make choices. You may, for example, like to pause this video right now and consider how you would like to organize your calendar. Think about that thought and come back to this video. I will, of course, tell you my recommendation myself. Number two, put the big rocks in first. Find the thing that makes other things possible. We have a mindless habit of always being busy. Just busy, 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 busy. But we need to deprogram ourselves from this mindless habit of always being busy. Stephen Covey and many other people before him have said this: put the big rocks in first by prioritizing the most important things that can change your future trajectory. What are those things? And those things, focus your time, attention, and energy on those things because they help you get everything else done. Know that the rest will fall in place. I like to offer you 3 questions. For every task that is floating around in the head, in the brief exercise we did at the beginning of this session, I'd like to invite you to pick any one of those thoughts and ask yourself 3 questions about it. Is it important? Is this task that was taking my attention, is it important? The second question is, does it challenge me? Am I feeling pushed to change, to improve, to outgrow my prior self? And third, does it change my timeline? What does it mean to change my timeline? What it means is, you remember how those um, science fiction movies exist where you have the possibility of finding a time machine and going back in time, and then you do something that changes your timeline. The future is no longer the same, creating a paradox. This is from Back to the Future and every other science fiction trope involving time machines. Ask yourself this question. My life is going on in a particular manner. The things I want are different from where I am right now and what I'm doing right now. And so there must be a change of timeline. I must go to a different trajectory. Does this activity change my timeline? In the doing of this activity, have I become a different person? Have I become the person that I want to be? That takes me to the future that I'd like to go to. Those are the three questions: ICT, important, challenge, and timeline. In my own experience, when I've done this thing, I have a very active mind, and I engage myself in a lot of different things. I have many open projects at any given point of time, and I often have this problem of excess. And every now and then I have a diary and I note down all those things, and they run into pages after pages, and I try to scratch off the things that have no impact. They are either not challenging because I've become comfortable with those activities, or not important, or not changing my timeline. And what's interesting is, by repeatedly doing it, by repeatedly putting these big rocks in first, I have changed my timeline. For example, a few years ago, I wanted to get more into building educational institutions because that I felt and I feel very strongly is the purpose of this particular body, this particular life form that now I inhabit. And so, if that is my purpose, I must move in that direction. And as you can see, of course, I'm a part of HSCI, but I also teach. I also help with institution building, and I have clearly moved in that direction. But the only way to have made that change was to repeatedly ask this question, seek out opportunities. If you think about this whole concept of manifestation, which is very popular in some circles. What is manifestation? Things happen seemingly magically, but that's not really magical. It's simply, if you keep paying attention, you will spot opportunities that are fleeting, but you spot them, catch them, and bring them home. That can only happen if you start focusing on this and put the big rocks in first. If you're always engaged in activity, doing the thing that is right in front of your nose, then you're only going to go wherever your nose takes you, which could be any random place. This allows you to go purposefully and with clarity of intent. All right, that was number two. The third is this: the universe is only as large as our perception of it. And so, what I invite you to do now is to be intentional with attention. Choosing what you pay attention to is very important. I was watching a science documentary by PBS, which is it's an American news station, but they have amazing science documentaries. And this one on the brain was really interesting. They said that of the entire visual spectrum at any given point of time, we're taking all the visual cues in, all the light into our eyes, but we're only paying attention to 1.5% of that at any given point of time. The rest is fuzzy, rough. We're actually not paying attention to it directly. We're only paying attention to 1.5% of the visual field. Imagine that with all the five senses. Our sense of the universe, our perception of everything in the universe is only as large as our perception of it, right? The universe is actually quite tiny, the one that we individually inhabit. Measuring your attention will expand your knowledge of how the mind leaps from topic to topic, which you might recall in the early part of this meeting you probably experienced. And then track your attention and watch it grow with time. Tracking your attention metrics, how stable it is, how quickly it moves, how long it stays on a topic, doing that over long periods of time will help you gain confidence in your longer attention spans. And then it'll allow you to take on more complex activities because you know you have the capacity to do it. Start with 9 random check-ins. So what we're doing right now, for example, usually when I do a sitting, I ring a bell 9 times through this process. And when that happens, I'm asking you to track your attention every one of those 9 times. You can do that by randomly checking in with yourself or having your watch, ping every 5 minutes or so, and then track if your attention was on the topic at hand or it's been stolen away and now it's gone into something else. And over time, you will see that your attention grows. And this is true if you ever have any meditation practice. Anything you pay attention to, anything at all, if you pay attention to it, it begins to inflate. It becomes larger and larger. When I do meditation sittings, for example, then I ask people sometimes to pay attention to the tip of the nose, which if you're observing my oversized nose, you already see that the tip of my nose is of a certain size, right? And which is not too large, just the tip of a finger. It's not a large space. But the longer you're sitting with your mind, attention solely focused on the tip of the nose, you will find within a short period of time with some practice that the tip of the nose now feels cavernous, huge, like you're inside the Grand Central Station. Huge mind space just inside the tip of the nose because your entirety of your attention is now flowing into it. And so, what you pay attention to and how you pay attention becomes very important. So, be intentional with your attention. And that's why you can then become very confident in your ability to tackle complicated, complex tasks because you know you have the ability to focus. Then we turn to a superpower. Become indistractable with deep work. Deep work is from a book called by the same name, Deep Work by Cal Newport. And Deep Work, this book came out in the mid 2010s, so about 2015-16. And it's an amazing book because it says that we live in the world of distraction. And by the way, my 2022 book with Oxford University Press was called Global Business in the Age of Destruction and Distraction. Because we have entered a world where our attention is monetized, converted into money, not to us, but to huge trillion-dollar corporations who are now taking our mind space and putting up advertising billboards inside them by keeping us distracted and outraged. How do you counter that? What is the antidote to this distraction? The antidote to this distraction is deep work, where you deliberately learn to focus on a cognitively demanding task without distractions. This helps you produce high quality outcomes by tapping into your productivity and problem solving skills, which are essential to our sense of challenge as well as our sense of well being. When you devote a specific period of uninterrupted time and energy to a specific task, you achieve a flow state and you maximize productivity. How you would do that is you would take your calendar, you would put a block of time, which is coming next, and in that block of time, you learn to focus on one thing at a time. And one thing is the only thing you're doing for that 30-minute if you're using a tomato timer or that 1 hour. if you're using an electronic timer. No distractions from the phone, no interruptions from phone calls, no anything. It's simply you are focused on the task at hand and you deliver it and you're done. That is deep work. And as Cal Newport, the author, says it very eloquently, this is a superpower. This superpower is an essential superpower. When I teach another class called Five Ways to Thrive, this is the first thing, which is to take back the mind, attention, and energy is an essential requirement for every professional in the world today because we have extremely powerful technology, algorithms that are working to keep us distracted. And that's not going away. That's going to only keep getting harder to hold our attention the more we get used to it. So, with that being said, let's move on. So, that was number 4, be indistractable with deep work. Number 5, as I said, create a time box for work that matters. Now, what I'm saying here is you can achieve great results, amazing, wonderful things by doing them one step at a time. You create a box of time, and in that box of time, you only do the one thing, but you can't finish everything. And I'll come back to that in a second. When you block your calendar for a fixed amount of time, could be 30 minutes, could be 1 hour, and then you work iteratively. You begin that thing, and you only spend 1 hour, no more. At the end of that 1 hour, you bank your gains. Whatever work you've done, you freeze it. And then another time that you do the same topic, another time box, you pick it up from where you left and you move it forward a little bit more. And then the next time you pick it up and move it forward a little bit more. Remember how there are some things that are so complicated that you need to spend to block your own calendar because you really need to focus. For example, when it's tax time and you haven't done your taxes, you just have to do it. The same idea, but applied to things that are not merely urgent, but are also important. So you block your time, but you don't try to finish all 5 hours of it together because your attention span might become distracted. You might typically about 60 to 90 minutes is the maximum attention you can hold on a topic before you get distracted. So I'd say block 60 to 90 minutes and then go away and do something else because you've stopped getting the creative juices flowing on this topic at this point. Don't worry about it. Go to another topic and then come back. Don't aim for perfection or completion in the first attempt, but keep moving the task forward, knowing that you can improve it in the next time box. And so when you're blocking your calendar, remember point number 1, you actually block a sequence of time boxes on a calendar for complex tasks. It allows you to be at your peak creativity. And then when creativity dips, energy dips, you move on to something else and come back again at peak creativity. So that allows you to harness your maximum creativity every time and move like a gazelle, large leaps instead of snail-like slow progress. And therefore, you will actually spend less time doing the thing. In my own experience, when the weeks I do this, right now I'm traveling, so I don't have too many time boxes into my calendar because I'm traveling. But whenever I'm not traveling, my time boxes allow me to finish things very efficiently. And I'm confident in knowing that if I don't finish it right now, 2 hours later, or 1 day later, or 3 days later, I have another time box and I'll move it forward a little bit more. All my classes that I teach, all the work that I do, all the consulting that I do, this is how I focus. It allows me to actually move with very large bounds because I'm highly energetic in every leap, and every leap moves me forward and not in some random direction. So number 5, create a time box for work that matters. Number 6, declutter the mind often. We now live in a permanent mental fog. And in that mental fog, it's impossible to focus and finish anything. A habituation to a constant supply of information, entertainment, edutainment. It gives us a mental fog because all this information is floating around in the head, and it comes in the way of our ability to work with focus and efficiency. Sant Kabir Das said, "Jin khoja tin paiyan, gehre pani paint, मैं बावरी डूबन डरी, रही kinare बैठ," which is to say, that which I seek, I found, deep into us, inside ourselves. But me, a coward, I sit by the shore. I'm afraid of drowning. जिन खोजा तिन पाइया गहरे पानी पैठ मैं बौरी डूबन डरी रही किनारे बैठ. Because we sit at the surface of our consciousness and we have filled it up with all this plastic junk, there is a giant garbage patch out somewhere in the Pacific, which is essentially a giant gyre of plastic, which plastic does not, go bad. So it's sitting on the Pacific Ocean, rotating, swirling around the size of a continent. That garbage patch, a version of that is in our heads as well, filled with useless information, trauma, gossip, outrage, all of that social media has fed into our brains. It's sitting in our head, filling it up with clutter. And because it's now comfortable to sit with this clutter, we don't go deep inside ourselves where the true treasures lie. Our insights, our creativity are buried deep inside our piles of useless information that we feed our brains. By developing a practice of noticing all the thoughts in the mind space and writing them down, they will go away after a while and for a while. And this is extremely important when you need to focus. So when you came in, I asked you to observe, name, and release those thoughts. What we were doing was the same practice. We were observing, naming, and releasing. Write down those thoughts and tell them, these unfinished actions, these random thoughts, they may be important. I've captured them on this piece of paper. I will come back to you when it is time. Now is not a good time. And then you can move on to other things. This is number 6. Number 7, being relaxed and alert. A state of Zen for work. Now, this is different from meditation. I'll explain in a second. You have to now master your attention with dhyana meditation. Regular mindfulness or whatever Western thing that you have is focused on one particular thing, whether it's the tip of the nose or your mantra or what have you. That's not what I'm asking you to do. That's just being alert and focused on something. I'm also asking you simultaneously to be relaxed. But why are we not relaxed? We're not relaxed because all those activities are knocking on our door, like kids on Halloween asking for a trick or treat. Those thoughts are knocking on our doors. They must be answered. Why? Because we think if we don't answer them, then they might create chaos. That unfinished activity, the heater that I left running in the house before a vacation, it's going to create chaos and damage and so on and so forth. And those thoughts have acquired their own momentum and they don't allow us to relax. But trust the universe a little. Trust the universe a lot. Trust that the universe will take care of itself without your active supervision. Thank you very much. And knowing that the universe is not inherently unkind, you can begin to relax and say, you know what? There are things that I'm not in front of right now, and I came for this next 1 hour, they're not all going to collapse. I can solve the universe's problems maybe after this 1 hour, not just yet. Allowing yourself to relax is important. You don't want to be over relaxed. A lot of the other mindless, meditation in quotes, apps on the internet are of the latter variety. They'll relax the heck out of you. You're now feeling sleepy. Unless you're going for a course in self-hypnosis, being overly relaxed is not very helpful because you'll go off to sleep. What you're looking for is a very different state. Let me see if I can find this. There you go. I'll come to this in a second. You have to tap into a state of effortless intuition. through this process of dhyana meditation, where you're completely relaxed and completely alert. The reins of your mind are in your hands, but your mind is relaxed and calm. And then an intuition, effortless intuition, flows through you. It transcends all the distractions, connects with the depths of your being, and then you have insights, intuitions, connections, things that you see that weren't possible before. And this is true whether you're a professional or a footballer. And I'll give you an example. This is the example of a footballer. Now watch this outlier on this chart over here, which is, if you look at Messi, he doesn't actually walk a lot. He's kind of lazy sounding, but he contributes a lot to the game. And so why does Messi walk 85% of the time? I've you can watch this video later. Ask me for the link. I call this management by walking around. Tom Peters invented that term in the 80s. But here's the deal with Messi. Messi is for those who don't know, like I did not, he's a football player, a very professional, solid, top-notch football player. But the interesting thing about the way Messi plays is this. He's actually walking most of the time. He is walking and moving his head around here and there. Watch this. And so like when everyone's running around with the football, everyone's running here, helter to skelter, and so on, he is not doing that. So he's walking much lesser. He's not getting his steps in, to be honest. He probably has to go home and walk to his 5 miles. But in the game, he's mostly walking until the time he needs to run. And when he runs, he scores. And that's the interesting part, which is he is now taking that time to observe opportunity, observe the field, and when it's time to strike, watch him go. Right? He has X-ray vision. He can see behind his eyes because he knows who's behind, which of his players is behind. He can make astounding passes. He can make amazing holes in the opposition, and then he can score. This is the reason you need to be relaxed and alert, which is you need to find a space of dhyana meditation. You should find an experienced teacher to teach you. I offer these classes, but I'm not doing that within the HSCI construct right now. But when I offer these classes, I'm teaching you to be both relaxed and alert, not overly relaxed that you're half asleep, not so alert that you're keyed up, somewhere in the middle. And that allows you to become an ace footballer, ace professional, an ace, and a stellar human being. All right. Now, number 8, find a state of flow. This is a state of being in the zone. This was a research done by a researcher called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. His name spells differently from how it sounds, but it's easier to say it than to actually spell it. So go look it up yourself. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi did this amazing work on flow, and he asked people that reported this amazing, beautiful, wonderful state where time seemed to flow. People lost track of time, and he asked, how are you able to reach that state? In the zone, when you're in the zone, time seems to fly. You're fully immersed in this energized focus. You're fully involved, and you're enjoying it fully. And at that point, the time flows. The joy of accomplishment flows effortlessly in this state, which results when you take on challenging tasks while working with high skills. And that's a very critical thing. I have a graph for you. Your skill level must always be you must be trying to do things at higher skills. In Karma Yoga, we say, Yoga Karma Sukashalam. Yoga is skill at work. Always acquire new skills and challenge yourself. Why? Because the more skill you have, the better you feel about accomplishing something complex. And then you subject yourself to a high degree of challenge, commensurate with your skill. And if you're able to match the challenge and skill, you find this amazing state of flow, of fun, of joy, of flow, of energized focus and personal growth. This state of flow results when you continuously improve your skill levels and continuously challenge yourself. If you have too much challenge and not enough skill, you're going to be anxious. And you have too much skill and not enough challenge, you're going to be bored. But in the middle of anxiety and boredom is this state of sheer flowing grace. To do this, you now need to remember, go back to put the big rocks in. You have to find those opportunities, those things that allow you to get to this state. That challenges that scare you. In Silicon Valley, you call them BHAGs, which is BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. Kennedy he declared at the beginning of the 60s that we want to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, a big, hairy, audacious goal. But that allowed the entire machinery to focus. It allowed the entire machinery to come together and truly put a man on the moon by the end of the decade and then some. We take these challenges not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And that's what we're asking for to get to a flow state. Don't just rest on your laurels because then you'll be bored. Don't just frighten the heck out of the bejesuses out of you because then you'll be anxious. Find that place where you're continuously acquiring new skills and challenging yourself. Those are the big rocks that you must put in first. And so that's the state of flow. Number 9 is developing excellence with habit system. A habit system allows you to build habits through repetition. By continuously practicing positive behaviors, you can reinvent continuously, changing the metrics that you track, the cues you respond to, and the reward you seek out habitually. And here, there is look up Duhigg's Science of Habit. I don't have the slide in this deck right now, but it's very well available and you can see it. The science, so basically there's a cue, habit, and reward. Cue, habit, and reward. That's the cycle of habit. And what you're doing with these habit systems is you may use familiar cues. For example, if you're a smoker, you need to go outside. That's a cue. You go outside, but you swap out one habit for another. And the reward for smoking may be the smoking, surely the nicotine, but also the company that you keep with your fellow smokers. Well, you find other company, get the same reward. So you can hack yourself into becoming a non-smoker, into becoming a exceptional presentation maker, an amazing teacher. You can become a new person continuously by changing your habits. The cue that you respond to, the habit that you work with, and the payoff. And I do this with the yoga class, I notice, with physical postural yoga, when I do those. I've seen that people that actually stay back for the deep relaxation at the end, which is a 15-minute of sheer bliss, yoga nidra, those people have been rewarded for coming to the class. And those people now feel that they can come back because they look forward, they crave the deep relaxation. And they come back to the class again and again. And so that's an example of habit system. There are several other things that I may not have time for today, but look up the Seinfeld method. Again, I have slides in some other deck. Seinfeld method is very simply this. Jerry Seinfeld, famous comedian, one of the richest comedians in the world today because of course, Seinfeld, the show. But he had a stand-up act. He still has a stand-up act. And he had a simple rule. His rule was to just write one joke every day. And the way he put that joke into practice was he would take one of those large calendar pages that you have with all the dates written there, and with a Sharpie marker, a big marker, he would put an X the day he writes a joke on the day. And then the next day he'll put an X on the next day. And now 3 days later, you have 3 X's in a row. And the next day, day number 4, you could say, I'm not feeling good. Maybe I don't need to write a joke. But then you have a streak. And all you're thinking is, let's not break the streak. I'll do one joke today. Tomorrow, maybe I'll try to take a break. And so you push yourself to write that one joke. And that's how you get better. You get better by changing the habits responding to your cues. You actually get better by holding yourself accountable and then not breaking the streak. So there are some of these ways that I try. What I do is I track them. I have a spreadsheet and I have something that I've rigged my cell phone to. And that, for example, let me show you. Every time I'm doing deep work, watch this. I've rigged up my phone. Okay, so hopefully you saw that. I have an automation set up on the phone. And I've tricked it to now keep track of all my deep work sessions. I have a spreadsheet. I have a whole system that I track. That allows me to be extremely efficient because now I can track how many days have I done deep work sessions and don't break the streak. It allows me to continuously egg myself forward, and I didn't have to make any extra effort. To hold a phone to a diary does not take any effort, and then it does all the tracking by itself. So build your habit system, apply the science of habit into your lifestyle. So that was number 9. Number 10, empower someone to hold you accountable. Now, do you remember that old story about the person who's given dots on a dots that they need to connect, and but the challenge is that the lines must not cross and the lines must not cross over itself, something like that. And the only way to solve that is to go outside the box and then bring it back. The point is, if you ask a friend to hold you accountable, you both win. So then tell your friends, make a public commitment that you're going to do 3 deep work sessions every day of 90 or 30 minutes each. And then you tell your friends that I did 3 today. Your friend doesn't have to do anything. This works with coaches as well. If you have been on a diet plan or one of those WhatsApp groups that actually is a 30-day self-improvement thing or whatever, your coach asks you to check in with them. And the mere fact of someone holding you accountable makes you better. The fact that they have no authority over you, they have no punitive thing they can do. They're simply asking you this question, and the fact that you know you need to report progress, it makes you more accountable, more responsible, because you know someone will check with you. They'll say, Gaurav, how many deep work sessions did you do today? And if the answer is 0, you're going to be embarrassed. Surely Gaurav does not want to be embarrassed. So what's he going to do? He is going to now do the deep work sessions in order to tell them, yes, I did 3 today. And so it results in better outcomes. If you do this to yourself, what happens is you can forgive yourself. But if you ask someone outside you, which is a friend, to hold you accountable, you're now actually better off. And conversely, you can hold them accountable. This is how all those self-improvement clubs work. The mutual responsibility allows everyone, accountability allows everyone to feel that they are responsible, that they need to report progress, and therefore to do the tasks that they have committed to doing, whether it's staying sober or losing weight or working out or deep work. And so empower someone to hold you accountable. All right. Now I'm going to go through a quick summary of all of these 10 so you have them with you. And then if you want, I have a PDF that I'm going to make available to you. I printed this as a bookmark for physical copy, but of course I can't send this to you virtually. Number 1, a calendar is a magic machine. Look at your calendar as a sacred device, a sacred geometry that allows you to create the future, harnessing the powers of the universe. A machine that's a yantra, a sacred device to create the future. Look at your calendar with reverence and respect, and it will give you results. Number 2, put the big rocks in first. Make sure that you're now doing the things that makes other things possible. Number 3, be intentional with attention because the universe is only as large as our perception of it. Number 4, be indistractable with deep work so that you're able to focus naturally and finish fast. Number 5, create a time box for work that matters. Achieve great results one step at a time. Number 6, clear mental fog to focus and finish by decluttering the mind often. Number 7, mastering your attention with dhyana meditation. By being relaxed and alert, you become a Zen master at work. Number 8, find a state of flow by continuously improving your skills and challenging yourself. Number 9, develop excellent habit systems, applying the science of habit and all the technologies that you can find into your lifestyle. And finally, number 10, ask a friend to hold you accountable. You both win. It's a win-win. All right, that's my 10-point program to focus and finish. I'm looking forward to you trying it out and reporting back to me. This has worked wonders for me. Uh, I maintain diaries. I have very copious diaries of things and ideas and thoughts and so on. Everything is done with time boxes. And when I'm done with the thing, I no longer carry it with me. And that's the beautiful part. I can now actually do a lot of work without ever feeling burdened by the varieties of things that I'm involved in. With that, I'm going to ask you to join me in the closing prayers and then take your time to sit down, reflect on what you just learned, and then put these into your life. I wish you all the best. We're going to chant Om once and then the closing prayers, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Sit comfortably. Sit in any comfortable posture with your back straight, the back, neck, and head in a straight line. Close your eyes gently and relax the expression on the face. Relax your shoulder, relax your belly. As you inhale, let the belly expand. As you exhale, let go and feel a sense of relief sweep through the body. Bring your palms together in Namaskar Mudra, pressing the palms together gently, touching the back of the thumbs into the chest. And now bring your attention to the hollow space between the palms. And as you chant Om and the closing prayer, pay attention to the vibrations in the palms at the heart center. Exhale completely. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Inhale and chant. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaः, sarve santu niramayaः, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukhavag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take your hours value, grab your right hand to your left hand and breathing in stretch. Breathing out, bend forward in a deep sense of surrender. Come back up, breathing in, release your hands, rub your palms together to generate some heat, and gently cup your eyeballs to transfer that heat. And then blinking, open your eyes and pull your palms back like an open book. Namaskar. Thank you very much for today's sitting. And I wish you all the best. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Sit in silence, write down the notes. Bye-bye.